And we're live. I believe so. So day 2 of Hasbro Pulse Con 2022, not to get confused with all the twos there. But today we're some of the big brands that came.
Yeah.
And so we have 3 major segments we're going to talk about because we said this yesterday. Chris and I know not one thing at all about Avalon Hill or Magic Gathering. Now, no offense to Magic Gathering. I used to play it back when, so hey, all right. I know it's a huge following and a huge big deal for a lot of people. So no offense there.
Yeah.
But we figured we'd focus on things that create action figures and collectibles and toyetic items, right? So we figured we stick with those 3. And I'm sure you know what we're talking about. 2 come from the same brand company, right? Meaning the same studio. And then one comes from its own homegrown product, right? So if I remember correctly, Chris, where did you want to start?
So we'll talk briefly. We're just going to mention the new HasLab, which really doesn't have anything to do with the audience that we're really catering to. And then we'll talk Star Wars. And then we're going to talk the big 2 of the day, G.I. Joe, and we're going to finish it all off with the Man in the Hat.
Yeah, the Man in the Hat. That's right. Yeah, I can't wait to talk about that. So yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, for Avalon Hill, which, as I mentioned yesterday, I thought it was some type of tabletop board game thing. So HeroScape Age of Annihilation Vanguard Edition is the new HasLab that was just announced today. I'm not going to talk too much about it. I don't think there's much crossover between this and action figures. I'm sure there's a little bit, but probably not a lot. They did the HeroScapes or Hero Quest, excuse me. They did that one as a crowdfunding a couple years ago. It was successful. So it already has 712 backers. They need 8,000. I don't think it's going to interfere with anything, but the only other thing I'll say is that looking at Robbie Reyes here, he has not moved the needle since yesterday. But so that's it. We'll move on and go to what is arguably, or what used to be for you and me, our big one, which was Star Wars.
Yeah, things have changed, haven't they?
They have.
And I overall thought, it was what I expected. And what we knew rumored ahead of time by our good friends at folks like Yak Face and all the other major fan sites out there. Yak Face usually the first one's on it, though. You got to give them credit, man. They know what's happening before it happens. They are the prognosticators of prognosticators there. And we knew stuff was coming from Andor. I mean, anyone under the sun of Star Wars knew that stuff was coming for Andor. It's the latest property being pushed out right now on Disney Plus. And we saw focus on Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary, which we saw coming. We've talked about in previous episodes. We knew 2023 would be all about the year of the Jedi there. And, a lot of the R words were used. I wish I would have taken a drink for every time. And when I say a drink, whatever it may be for you, doesn't need to be alcoholic. I feel like if I would have taken a drink, I would have been extremely full after hearing the word reissue during that, and them saying the word reissue, not us. Well, them saying it even.
Reissue, iconic, and quintessential are the 3 words that I kept hearing over and over again.
Hey, but we did learn something new about Patrick today. We learned that he was a history major as an undergrad. And that's interesting to me as a higher education professional. And I'm like, So, okay. I finally got a little insight into his psyche there. He finally gave us some insight to him. And I'm like, man, if he showed more of that, I'd actually be interested in what he was saying. Like, he needs to stop putting on the fake facade and just be himself.
He was today. He was more personable.
He was more personable today than I've ever seen him. Yeah.
He actually mentioned too that he had done some drama classes or something. I don't remember if that was college or high school, but he had mentioned that too. And I was like, I've never, this is little things to kind of, instead of the all kind of little bit robot-y, if you will.
He still loves using his hands, and hey, everyone has their little, quips and things they do. I do the same thing. I watched the video playback, a little bit of it the other night. I'm like all over the place.
Yeah, me too.
I'm like, sit still and look at the camera, but don't look like a robot. It's a hard balance, especially when you have a cheap camera, because the camera can't keep up with your movements, Brian. Yeah. But fun facts when you're putting together content for YouTube and other things you learn.
But yeah, so I mean, they kind of jumped into the exclusives that we already knew were coming for Pulse Con. Both still available as of right now on Hasbro Pulse, which is the Cassian Andor and the B2 Emo, and then the Mandalorian Vintage Collection Rescue Set. Both of those are still available. They, like every other brand team, they talked the heck out of the selfie series, which I get it. They all have to promote that. So it is, it is something that we're probably going to see them promote back and forth. An interesting bit of news that they shared is that Boba Fett's throne room from the Vintage Collection, Book of Boba Fett / Jabba's Palace, because they did make a point to say that was, dual purpose. They are going to be closing the pre-orders for that on Friday, October 7th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. So,
and what else did they announce about that? That was important for all of our UK listeners.
Yeah, there's some new availability in the EU for Hasbro Pulse. So
exactly.
I believe it was Chris who talked about that a little bit and mentioned that. And I believe that this set is going to be available to some of those people that it wasn't previously making good on a promise they said. Although,
I can't remember all the countries, but they listed a good 6 or 7 new countries that have been added. Yeah.
The bad news is that you only have a week to do that if you're in one of those countries.
Get all your money together. Yeah.
And that's actually, we talked a little bit about it. I actually pre-ordered that and then canceled it. I just don't know if it's going to fit on a shelf. It looks like it's going to be a little bit wider, but we did want to share that because it is a nice looking set and it will make for a nice display. And I know that Brian and I both sung the praises of that. So then they kind of went into some of their reveals, and I don't know about you, Brian, but their reveals it was like all over the place. It was like, well, here's TVC, and then here's Black Series, but now we're going to jump
bouncing back and forth. And then they did this random little question segment that was so prepared and felt so out of place. Pre-recorded, obviously, questions from some well-known folks. No offense to Jedi News or was it Jedi News?
Coffee with Kenobi.
And Coffee with Kenobi, were the two that got some FaceTime. And you could, even their exit piece of their question was exactly the same. It's like they were told what to say at the end of their question. It felt very forced and very like soft, as we say, softball, right? The softball questions.
They were both softball questions. And I think the one from James was from Jedi News was kind of so they could put to rest, because everybody was like, oh, you can do vac metalized now. And so I think they were like, whoa, we gotta get on top of that, because now they're going to
continue to use it where we see it's a great fit, for our cost structure. Basically was the short term to the long term answer that we got.
Right.
It was very political answer. Not unexpected. What did we think they were going to say? But the other one that came from Coffee with Kenobi was just about what goes into developing a retro figure that wasn't a retro figure previously. For example, the Mandalorian series that we're seeing in stores right now. Obviously, those were never retro figures back in the 70s, late 70s, early
Obi-Wan.
80s. So
Obi-Wan too. Yep,
exactly. So if you missed that, those were the two fan questions, quote unquote.
Reveals, they revealed. So I'm gonna, kind of read through this. We're using some websites out there to kind of help us with, because it was so much information.
Yeah, and I'm going to share a screen to
there we go,
to the Hasbro Pulse site here, and just to kind of have up the Star Wars items here, the ones that are up for pre-order, and Chris will be talking about some others as well. Will both be that I may not have images up right away, but we're going to reference.
Yeah, so I mean, they went with,
because some didn't even have images because they were playing, but we'll talk about them.
Yep, they announced a Cassian Andor TVC and another character, Vel.
So they Black Series and TVC for Cassian Andor. Obviously, the Black Series Cassian Andor 2-pack was an exclusive. Is that this one right here? Which was they're also announced that they'll be releasing it on a single card, if you will, as well as part of the line. Right. The difference with the 2-pack is you're getting B2 Emo. Also, fun fact today, because I hopped over to Hollywood Studios earlier this morning. Nice. B2 Emo is an individually carded figure that you can buy in studios now.
What scale?
I think it was 3 3/4. I want to say it was the same scale as you've seen, like the BB-8 single card.
Okay,
remember that one that came out? Yeah,
the Droid Factory series.
Correct. Yeah. But it was cool to see it. That might be the only the way you're going to get it 3 3/4 without having to shell out a lot of money for a multi-pack. You know. But
agreed.
Yeah, but the Black Series 2-pack, if you saw, it had kind of a pull out from left to right. Actually, I can click on it, obviously, and show you guys. But this image right here. So it had a pull out for either side. And I love how to say, like, this unique. They've been doing this design since 2015 when they released the Black Series Boba Fett and Carbonite Han. Basically, it's an open window concept that they did where you slide it into a card insert. They've been doing this for years. They've been doing it for a good 7-8 years now. So that's not anything new. I don't know why they acted like it was new. They've been doing this with their convention exclusives back since, like, they did the first Stormtrooper that came out for Force Awakens. Yep. I mean, they've been doing it for a while.
Kylo Ren, they did it. Yeah, they've done it with a bunch of them. Yeah.
Jyn Erso.
Yep.
Jyn Erso. See, I brought it full circle. Well
done.
And so
I do like on the packaging. We'll look at the regular packaging too, because they revealed some of that. I do like the red lettering they're using for Andor.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. It's different. It's unique, and I think it's refreshing. I think that's a play off of his coat too. They seem to really focus on that a lot during their presentation, didn't they? Yeah, like the uniqueness of his design. I will say it is a much better face sculpt than the original figure, which we could all agree. But I mean, it's as good as it's going to get because the amount of facial hair he has, the way his hair kind of wafts over his face. I mean, it's only so much you can do with a scan of something like that.
Right.
So, I mean, I give him credit. I do think the head sculpt for Axe Wolves looked fantastic, though, especially since they did not a live interview, but a recorded interview with him as part of the presentation. They actually did an interview. That was one of the weird segments in between too, right? They would talk about figures, then they would go to these in between segments. One was the fan question. The other was a recorded interview that they showed a portion of, that they posted the whole thing of later on after the presentation. And that was with D. Bradley Baker talking about Bad Batch, as well as, I cannot remember her name because she's pretty new to Star Wars, but who plays Omega, the voice of Omega.
Now they did that with all of it seems like all of the major brands did something like that, because that's where Power Rangers kind of was starting to talk about Cosmic Fury. They had Andre from the Black Nerd on there, and then
and that's what I was referencing yesterday, because I actually follow him on YouTube. I followed him for a good while, and
he's great.
I thought that was interesting that they brought him in. I was like, he's always been a huge Power Rangers fan. He doesn't make that he makes that known on his channel. But really good dude. Yeah.
So they did that here. I had the privilege of watching with my my buddy Sean and I. He kind of got a hold of me this morning, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to FaceTime and we can watch the Indie and Star Wars ones and react to it?" So we were doing that. So that was pretty fun. But also, like, one of the comments that we were making is, man, it seemed like they had a lot to announce, but a lot of the stuff we'd seen before. So it felt like there was a lot of trying to eat up time.
Yeah, there was like these pauses in between
Yeah.
where it was like they were looking at their clock and wondering what was happening next. They're new to it, right? I mean, they're not used to doing, I think we talked a little bit about this yesterday. They're not showmen or show people, right? They're not used to performance at this level and having a script to follow, knowing when to ad lib, knowing when to add stuff in to make it feel like you're not wasting time, but you are. They're not used to that whole thing. They're toy makers, that's and they're marketing folks, and people get confused with marketing. I'm about to go into my work brain here a little bit. Marketing isn't just creating campaigns, it's also doing all the data analytics and stuff like that. So that's why those guys sound so nerdy and techie when they're trying to talk. It's because they work with numbers and demographics and looking at graphs and things like that all the time. They're not really the ones in there coming up with, they're not always the individuals that are the ones creating the physical content or multimedia or creative stuff. Right. That's your advertising and PR folks. So a lot of times people get confused when they say, "Oh, well, he's head of marketing." I'm like, yeah, he's head of the numbers, the numbers and he's overseeing the creative people. So don't think that makes him creative. But then he goes and says he's done theater. I'm like, well, where is that? Like, where's the theater? I don't see it. But yeah.
So I mean, they, like we said, they bounced around quite a bit.
Yeah. Much like I'm doing. Yeah.
No worries. You did mention Axe Wolves.
Yes.
Wolves that they did there for Black Series. That was one of the few that I did pre-order. I think I only pre-ordered 2. Actually, yeah, 2. Maybe I'll go back for another Scout Trooper, which we'll get to in a minute.
Money for me to pre-order.
I know. I was so hoping that was going to be one of them today. I'm like, man, the prequel trilogies don't get any love anymore, and the sequel trilogies don't get any either. So, like, even though I don't want anything sequel trilogy, I know there's people out there that do, but it's like, nope.
Yeah, I know. It's
part of the problem with the Disney Plus era is it's not just with Star Wars, it's with Marvel as well. We've got this content and we've got to create some toys for it, but we never really get to go deep into it. And then we're on to the next show. And then we've got to create the content, the toys for that. And then we're on to, we never really go deep. And with Andor, I think they're going to have to go deeper, like they've done with Mandalorian. Mandalorian went deep, like Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan. Maybe you don't need to go as deep with characters, but Mandalorian, you've now coming into 3 seasons. You've got 18 episodes of Andor. You're going to have characters. You're going to have to go deeper, but they just don't seem to have the time because it's on to the next thing.
Yeah. So also on the vintage collection side, there were 2 other announcements involving Andor. One was Valsartha, and all these ones are showing, they did show the physical figures, and they had basically the items right there on the table with their accessories to show you what they looked like. I did like how they handled that during the sessions, how they had the figures and they would cut away, then cut back, and then zoom in and show the features and talk about them. I really liked how they handled that. That was probably one of my favorite things they did. But then also from the TVC standpoint, there was also the other exclusive, which is still available, which was a 3-pack, well, almost like a 4-pack, if you will. Let me show you. Yeah. Let's get in here and look at this. So if we look at it from, let's start. Here we go. Here's a larger
because it's got like
image.
2 different.
Yeah, it's 2 panels going on here. We got little Grogu with his little binders on his arm. Oh God, I just want that. Just give me the little Grogu with his binders on it. That's the only part I want. That maybe Moff Gideon, like just because Moff Gideon is just one bad looking dude, man. He's just so cool. But with his dark saber and that cape, so cool. And you can't go wrong with Giancarlo Esposito. I'm sorry, he's just one of my favorite folks. That's so cool. We have that going on in one segment, and on the other segment, we have Mando lighting up a Dark Trooper here. So I love the fire effects. I think that's such a cool thing. I do think they did a good job with this exclusive. Price point a little high there, because I mean it's all cardboard. It's all cardboard. I mean, there's no like actual pieces in here. There's not like a modular seat or something for Grogu to sit on or something. I mean, there's nothing in here, plastic pieces or anything, even die cast, other than what you see here. And the figures.
You're not buying that set to open that up and take those figures out. No. You're buying that set to display it like this. Yeah. And so, because all of these figures are or will be with the Dark Trooper available, shortly, or are already out there now. Maybe not with the same accessories, but this is clearly meant to be displayed like this here.
I see this as a $50 at the most price point. That's how I see this.
Yeah.
I see it $49.99. I think this is at least $25 over.
Yeah, what I agree. It's heavier price point than it needs to be.
It does. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's the other exclusive TVC wise. Since I covered the TVC, I'll turn it over to you for the Black Series. We'll take turns here.
Okay. Yeah. So Black Series. Let's see.
Where do you want to start?
We'll start with Andor, and then we'll go with Return of the Jedi. We already talked about Axe Wolves.
We talked about here we go.
So you've got Cassian Andor, which is the same Cassian from the exclusive. They called that out. You have Bix. Yep. Then you have let's see.
I like how they called it a space USB. That was my favorite. It was one of my favorite comments during the whole thing. Yeah.
Now I will say, again, I haven't seen the show. I'm kind of, because I like to binge shows, I'm waiting to get a bunch of these accumulated.
I mean, I won't give anything away, but I can talk to the look and feel of things.
And that's fine. But what I'm just going to say is I've seen some of these, the pictures and stuff. The face sculpts on these all look fantastic.
That is one of the best face sculpts I've ever seen of Stellan Skarsgård.
Yes.
That is phenomenal. I think we need to zoom in on this face sculpt. I mean, look at this. That is insane.
Yeah, it really is.
Insane. Look at his face. It's literally right there.
And then click on the box art there, because I know, I know the plastic packaging is touchy, and I know people don't like the picture of the figure in the front, but the red lettering really makes it pop there, or kind of orangish red, makes it pop, I think.
Yeah, it is pretty cool, man. I do like that as well. Yeah, and then if we go to,
so you have Luthen, and then Mon Mothma.
I mean, I texted you, Dorian, and I said, George is proud somewhere. They decided to make a senator again.
Yes, I know. It was like, oh, senators are back.
Yes. Hey, we got to tell the full story. Oh, look at this pose. I mean, the arm in front. I mean, look at the action pose that's happening with the senator right here. See, she's throwing that angry arm up like she's going to take down that legislation. She is going for it. She's gunning for the Senate pods. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding, guys. Obviously, we know who Mon Mothma is. It's such an influential character to Star Wars, going all the way back to the original trilogy, and so perfectly played and further developed within Rogue One. Even some of the cut scenes from Revenge of the Sith as well.
Yep.
Which, if any of you have seen some of those scenes, especially one scene in particular where they're all kind of having this secret meeting, almost like the birth of the rebellion, if you will. It's such a great scene. And she is so good. The actress that portrays Mon Mothma in Cassian Andor, as well as Rogue One, as well as Revenge of the Sith, same actress through all of those roles. She really has developed the character well. And I do love that there is some mixture in media here. We have a lighter PVC, but then we also have some fabric underneath as well here.
Yeah. Gives those robes some life.
Another action pose.
Huh. But yeah, so those are the Andor figures, and they said that those are going to be summer 2023, people. So those all went up for today, and then we talked about
we talked about Axe Wolves,
and he's available in the spring. So now we're kind of get into the Return of the Jedi, and this stuff these were all revealed in I don't know if it was the last one or the one before. These were all pipeline reveals. We know next year is the Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary.
Let's touch on him real quick before we jump into Return.
Oh, I was going to save him to the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's save him to the end.
Forget what I said. Let's keep on Return of the Jedi.
But so Return of the Jedi, and all of these except one are repacks.
Guess which one? Because Brian didn't, and he was called out on text for it.
So we'll go over. So the Scout Trooper, Lando, and oh my goodness, poor Lando. This guy's gonna sit on pegs.
I just saw him today on a peg. This exact figure on
the archive. He's out right now in the archive collection.
Archives, yes, which is the updated sculpt that we're seeing here again being reissue.
This is the
third drink of water.
Yeah, the third time that we've gotten this figure. So, I think they have to put it out because that character and that outfit, it does go with, Return of the Jedi. It's well known, but it's like, oh my goodness, why? Who made the call to do archive and then put this out this close? That's what I want to know. That seems like maybe we should have held off on archive.
Not gonna say what I want to say.
So anyway, another Lando. Then we go with Han Solo and Princess Leia. We just got these figures about a year
she even
ago.
looks angry about it. Look, she even looks angry about being reissued. She's got the head cocked to the side, and she's just got that, I'm just not having it face.
Well, and this is the third time we've gotten these guys already because they came in that box set that was at Pulse Con.
The Heroes of Endor, right?
2 year, the very first Pulse Con.
Right.
And then they came out.
We pre-ordered, they canceled.
Yep.
Pre-ordered again, they canceled.
Well, it's because we wanted Pat Blue, and we know we did. He's coming single carded. We played the long game. # long game. So we're getting these two again. They came out in the regular wave for Return of the Jedi, and then we're getting Wicket. So he is a brand new character. We've never had Wicket in the Black Series. Yes, that's one thing that was, well, thank goodness he wasn't. I expected these.
I thought these were all gonna. Yeah, remember we both thought it would be like $27.99. 40th anniversary.
Well, what did we talk about last night? We talked about with Marvel and Star Wars. Like we don't understand the price point. What's deluxe? What's exclusive? And you and I were talking, thinking these were going to be, because they're on the card back and premium, they were going to be $28. I'm happy to see. Well, I shouldn't say I'm happy. I'm glad it's only $25, but you're paying $25 for such a small figure. And they tried to
tiny he is. He doesn't even fill up half of the blister.
Yeah, they tried to sell. They spread out those accessories there.
They did, right?
They tried to sell.
Maybe we could spread it out further and make it a deluxe.
Well, they tried to sell it as well. We had to give him more accessories because him just coming with his spear wouldn't be enough. So I do appreciate they're giving us some extra accessories, and
they pointed that out too during the session about the bow and arrow
and these will all be on the, like you see here, the retro style cards that like they did for Star Wars and for Empire. And we know that there's more of these coming. I think there's 2 waves. And
they showed them in the pipeline. Yeah, they talked about them in the pipeline as well.
Pat Blue is in wave 2. And then
Royal Guard is one of them.
Yes, Royal Guard is
which
one.
I'm happy about. I think that's a good re-release. There are good reissues.
Well, we're going to get to a lot of reissues that I think make a lot of sense here in a minute once we talk about this Cantina band.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And so let me head back here and let me click on what looks like one figure, but is a lot more.
$90.
Because so you're getting 7 figures and 7 unique instruments. Well, 4 unique instruments. These 2 were almost exactly the same, and these 2 were almost exactly the same.
But here's what I'm going to say about this one. So you put them out on the vintage style card. Now, granted, people do want these figures on those cards, but why not reveal this? Why not do this at the same time, side by side? Because darn good and well, there were people that ordered 5 or 7. It depends on what like for me, I think what the band is normally 6 that I remember. You see, But anyway, people ordered enough to make their own band and paid $14 a figure and then had to rip it off the card. And then they come out with this.
Do I need to quote Watto here?
Yeah, do it.
Only money. You know, it's it. You know,
I would
Jedi mind tricks don't work on me.
I would have appreciated, for me, it doesn't matter. I bought the one on the regular card, but I have the older ones that you mailed away for. And those work just fine. They're I had
the Star Wars Weekends ones that connected and played the song.
Oh, nice.
And I sold them.
Oh, okay.
Just because I didn't need them anymore. I mean, we've talked about set nauseam, right?
Yep.
I moved away entirely from 3 3/4. I sold them to a guy who was extremely excited and was going to, he already had a place in his room. He showed me a photo of a shelf that it was going to go on. And I was like happy to hand it off because it went to a better home.
Yeah. And I, like I said, I think that most collectors would have appreciated being able to know, I can get one on the card that I want to leave on the card. Right. And then I can get the pack rather than back and forth. But, like I said, I have some older ones that I use that, the only downfall is they really need to have figure stands to stand. But, I mean, it's an option for people, but I really would have liked them to have released this at the same time to say to people, hey, you don't have to buy 7 regular ones. And I don't even think that some of these instruments came with those regular ones. I think you got all the horns, but you probably didn't get like the 2 kind of more, I guess, which
especially one with the seat.
Yeah, that one and the I think maybe the like piano thing. I don't know what you would call that.
I don't even know. They all have names, but honestly, it's just too much effort for me to look it up. Sorry.
Yeah. So they did talk about a Bad Batch Hunter.
Yes, and they actually showed. They actually sent one to D, so he showed it during his interview, and then they showed it again when they went into the reveals during the live show.
Yes, and that one was not that's a pre-order at a later date, but they said summer 2023.
And they said that was the first. Mm-hmm. They're going to do the whole Bad Batch. They did mention that. They didn't go in specifics, but they said that is the first of them, but they will do them all in TVC.
The best part of that was when they asked him which one they should do next, and he cycled through all the voices. That was cool.
That was great. Yeah, that was classic D. Bradley Baker there.
Yeah, and then I don't know, but I caught it. If you listened closely, I think D. Bradley Baker confirmed that he's going to be at Celebration London.
Yeah, he did.
Yep, he did.
So did the actor who portrays Axe Woves. Also confirmed that he said, I'll see you there. So it sounds like, for those who've never gotten to meet some of the actors that only do, especially what's great about the UK show is you get to meet a lot of the actors because a lot of stuff for Star Wars over the many years have been filmed at Pinewood and other studios over there in the UK. Elstree and Pinewood have been the birthplace of Star Wars. So you have a lot of the older actors, the side characters, but also you have a lot of the newer characters that come over from New Zealand, Australia, and also are in the EU area that you'll get to meet at that show. So it's a cool opportunity for those who especially our listeners who live overseas, and it's a lot easier for you guys to head out there to that show. Definitely take advantage of it if you're able to.
Yes, for sure. Brian, if you want to scroll down a little bit on that.
Of course.
I think that covers all of the.
I think that's it for all of the ones that were up for pre-order. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we can go through. Quick. Now I'll turn it over to you for Toy Arc stuff.
Well, real quick, if you want to scroll down again, real quick, they did Marvel Legends, and I forgot to mention this when we snuck up today. Mojo and Ironheart, they snuck those up today.
Went up. Yeah. And I have a friend who found Ironheart here in Orlando at a Target.
Really?
Today. Wow. Yeah.
Well, Target's getting ready. They're getting ready for a reset, and they're getting ready to do
the classic fall reset.
Yeah. So like, there's the Ninjetti Power Ranger figures. There's the exclusive GI Joe Classified, Tiger Force and Python Patrol that's getting ready to hit. There's some Star Wars stuff that's and people have been finding some of that here and there. But the dates on all that is tomorrow. So your mileage is probably going to vary with finding them because not all Target stores are going to have that set.
So I'm gonna I'm gonna stop sharing for a moment. Do you want to go through some of the other reveals that they had for Star Wars?
Yeah, I'm going to go through real quick here. So I'll start with Vintage Collection, and I think I'm going to applaud them for a lot of these. Now, they did say that they're going to do a new Darth Vader from Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
With the removable helmet,
and both TVC and Black Series.
Correct. They used the term quintessential on the Black Series one, which I'm going to call them out here and say nothing they've ever done is quintessential. It seems like if that was the case, then I wouldn't have 50 Vaders and 100 Lukes. But
I think you should do what is it? Is it Dan that does from Toy Galaxy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You should put together an entire like mecha of Boba Fett, but do it for Vader. Like he literally, have you ever seen some of the shots or videos of him? And he literally has how many versions of retro looking Boba Fett? It's ridiculous.
He did it. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
But going with the Return of the Jedi theme, they're going to be releasing a lot of the skiff guards and Jabba's palace goons.
All I could think of was you the whole time.
I was happy. Yeah. Now, some of these I already have, but like Weequay, Woof, Yak Face. Although Yak Face, I'm not sure that.
I wonder how you felt about Yak Face. I wanted to hear your reaction on the show.
I'm fine because they've done him. They did him. So the one we got with the barge had a coin, and it had the.
That's right. It did.
The extra.
I forgot about that.
It also had the extra accessory of the glass, which the regular version just had him and his staff. So
got it.
As long as they don't put those two in, I'm fine. I know there was a lot of people that actually sold off the Yak Face to help fund
just sold
barge.
that itself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they feel vindicated because they can get another for their display.
Well, I just bought the one that came in that pack that they did later on.
Yeah.
I forget when they packed them in again, but I just got that one to open, and I kept the barge one on that Power of the Force card. That I don't have much carded anymore, but that one I kept carded. But they're doing the Nikto Skiff Guard. They're doing Cathaba again. The question is, will he have the red bandana or the brown bandana? I don't know if you folks remember that.
That's had part of the surprise.
Yeah. And then they for TVC, they teased the Endor. It says Empire base, here, but the Endor bunker. Now, I had mixed feelings about this.
I did too,
because if you remember all the way back to the Power of the Force 2 days,
yep,
they did a bunker, and it's a pretty good bunker, and it's not excessively large. Now, what I found with these, and I'm not complaining, right? They're giving us these modern play sets / diorama / environment pieces, because they're not really play sets. There's no play.
But that's
value.
What they're calling them,
right?
They specifically said play set in the presentation.
Did. But what I want to point out here is that these modern sets that they've been giving us, they're huge, and a lot of times you got to buy two to really make it work the way that they picture it. And so these things take up a lot of real estate. So that Power of the Force 2 one, it's nice. It's the shell of the bunker. It's got the 2 sets of doors, and it really serves a purpose. And I have it set up in my Endor diorama. It's kind of at the back there as kind of where they're trying to get to. So they didn't really reveal what it's going to have or what it's going to comprise. It was
just a pipeline photo. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Maybe they're just going to do the same thing and put it out again.
I was so excited. I turned to my wife because I made the poor thing watch some of it because I put it on the main TV. And she's like, how much longer is this? But anyway, and then they showed that. And I said, oh, you remember? I got that from like a bargain bin at one of those small cons we went to. I think you might have been with me. Well, I think we all 4 of us might have went to this one.
It could be.
It might have been one like that retro show or something, maybe even back when that we went.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I got it for like $5, and I'm like, hey, I don't have to buy this pipeline if it's the same thing. We'll see.
Even back in the day, I think when it was on shelves, it wasn't that expensive.
Cheap. Oh, it was so cheap.
Now it's going to be, who knows what it's going to be.
Plastic is at a premium. Come on now.
But, that kind of wrapped up the vintage collection, the 3.75 scale. And then we got into some well, we talked about it a little bit, the 40th anniversary, the other one's Luke Skywalker,
Right.
Jedi Knight. Hey, that's your Rancor figure, everybody.
Wait, and on top of that, they did say quintessential for that one.
They did.
I just want to make sure we don't forget another quintessential. They did say your quintessential Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker.
Well, that's the one that that's the one they had all ready to go for the Rancor.
That they already retooled. Yeah.
Yep. The Darth Vader, which you already covered because we said they're doing both scales. Now, here's some good news, Brian. We've talked about this several times on this show, and finally R2-D2 is getting a completely new tooling.
I turned to Aaron and I was like, they're finally doing it.
Yes.
And they even said specifically from the bottom up. And I'm like, all those R2 builders, man, are sitting around going, we did it.
Yeah.
We finally did it. Yeah.
They got their money out of that mold for sure. So it'll be nice to get one that's more in scale and scaled appropriately. Of course, they've done so many droids now. I'm not going to go and replace them all, but it will be nice to have at least, a regular R2 that's more in scale with the rest of the line.
What's her name? Is it Emily?
Emily. Yep.
Yeah.
So
Emily.
It was Emily.
Emily, this would be a great use of VAC metal to be really different, right? You're going to pick and choose your times to use VAC metal. This might be a time where you could really impress people with VAC metal and really get a lot of people excited about a product that Hasbro could surprise people with in a good way.
Then it's no longer $25. You've just made it a deluxe figure at $37.
This is true. But hey, wouldn't it be a great Christmas gift in 2027, when it comes out? That'll be nice.
Yeah, they didn't give dates for any of these.
No
they
dates.
Just said these are
whatsoever.
pipelines. We talked about the Imperial Guard. Oh, okay. So now we're going to get into some book. This is where they jumped around.
And then they jumped to Book of Boba Fett.
I wish they would have said, okay, we're going to do TVC. We'll start with Andor, then we'll do, and
that's how they used to do it. That's how they used to do it.
They jumped around. But anyway, so they're doing a Tusken Warrior. I
did like some of these. I thought these were good ideas.
Yeah. Well, there's one that I'm going to call out in a sec here as a head scratcher, but the Tusken Raider for Vintage Collection. Then we're jumping into Black Series, and they're doing Cad Bane. They're doing the Tusken Chieftain. I thought that the Tusken Chieftain looked good.
I was excited about that one too.
Yeah.
That's the one I was excited about.
Now here's the head scratcher. A Pike Syndicate Trooper?
Yeah, I know.
I don't get that.
I know.
I don't think that's what people are looking for, but hey,
it's your chance to army build. They did say that.
And the Cad Bane will be actually the Book of Boba Fett. So they haven't actually done a Book of Boba Fett. They've done.
And we do know there is a difference. There is a pretty major difference. I mean, even at the higher scale level, we talked about 6 scale, Sideshow's doing a Clone Wars style. Cad Bane, and Hot Toys is doing the Book of Boba Fett style Cad Bane. And they look very different.
For me, I'm good with my Clone Wars one. I don't need to have another.
Same. I don't need another.
And then Brian, you text. We were kind of texting about this. They're like, "Oh, the first time in role play, we're doing Luke Skywalker's green lightsaber." They've done that one before.
I'm like, the first time in FX Sabers, just because you rebranded it FX Elite, doesn't take away the fact that you have been doing FX lightsabers for a long time. It just means your technology has improved in how you make it. It's still part of that series. I don't like how they sold that. That was marketing down our throats by saying that, because I think that is extremely unfair, because the Luke Skywalker Return of the Jedi lightsaber has come out not once, not twice, but this will make it the 3rd time that it has come out in the FX line. It came out in the FX lightsaber line when it was with Master Replicas.
I have that one.
And that's the one I have too. And then it came out again when Hasbro took it over and rebranded FX for them, keeping the name FX lightsabers. And then just recently, they've rebranded FX lightsabers again. So based on that terminology, everything they make right now is going to be for the first time in that line, because FX Elite has only been around for like 3 years, that terminology. So I think that's a load of bull, and don't market it that way to people. Don't try to make it up. Just say, hey, you could say, instead of saying for the first time, we're taking something that we've done prior and really making it souped up. We're bringing it to the FX Elite level. Sell it that way. Don't lie to people, because that's what you did. You basically said you've never released a Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker lightsaber at a high level of a metal saber hilt and all. And you know what? I saw one earlier today at the Legacy saber. It's still,
Yep.
I mean, how many versions need to be out there of the Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker lightsaber? You could have just said, for the first time, the Mandalorian Luke Skywalker. Then you really technically could have been correct. But,
we just need, Brian, we just need two, and we want them in Legacy, in the Disney Legacy series, right? We know yours is coming. We're waiting for mine.
Oh my God, come on.
I
swear, I look every day. Online. I'm like, did someone say it? Did someone say it's out yet?
Yep.
It's out yet? Is it coming? But I saw Plo Koon and I saw Luminara Unduli today.
Yeah, those are cool.
He just came out like about a week ago. She started hitting in Disneyland, and now she's here in Disney World as well. So that was cool to see. I'm curious to see if there'll be any stuff in Disneyland that's a little bit different. I'm gonna have to video call you or something when I'm over there.
So to kind of round out the panel, they talked about Clone Wars era 20th anniversary coming throughout.
It's interesting how they did that, right? It's like, we're going to call it Clone Wars. And they tried to explain themselves like twice on it. They said, we're calling it Clone Wars 20 because Clone Wars is more than just, the movie or the Clone Wars by Dave Filoni, but also includes Clone Wars by, Genndy Tartakovsky, who, if anybody knows, the original Clone Wars micro series, which were small micro animated shorts by the same gentleman who did, Samurai Jack and Primal, which is currently going on right now. It's amazing, beautiful series, and it's on Disney Plus if you ever want to go back and watch it.
I'm going to say this. Yeah. I'm going to say, if you've slept on that series, you're doing yourself a disfavor. That series is awesome. And it doesn't take much time.
Great figures from it too.
It moves real quick. Even when they did the longer episodes at the end, it moves really quick. And
that's the only 3 3/4 figures I won't sell.
Those are
because
awesome.
I've opened them and I love them, and I display them, like the stylized animated figures they did. I love them. I love those figures so much.
They're hard to find now too. Mm-hmm. You don't see them come up very often.
That Ventress Anakin fight in that temple.
Yeah.
Oh God, some of the best stuff I've ever seen.
I love the episode where Grievous is there and they have to go rescue the Jedi, and Grievous is just like, that one's really good. Yeah. Anyway, Black Series role play. We got a Clone Trooper helmet.
Yep. And people have been wanting that but people have been, I know. All right, I'm gonna give some love to the helmet folks out there, because they have a good fan base.
Well, what version is this? Is this phase 1 or phase 2?
This is phase 1.
Okay. I'll take it back.
That's why people are pumped.
I'll take it back.
There's never been a really good phase 1 other than like your ugly fallen apart version from Ruby's. Okay.
Yeah.
People are getting like a really quality episode 2 era, phase 1 era Clone Wars helmet. And I think that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool piece, and especially we were talking about prequels, right? That's a prequel love right there. Definitely.
That's true. I was thinking it was for whatever reason. I was thinking it was phase 2.
No, it was definitely phase 1.
Phase 2 has just been overdone. But anyway,
I love phase 2.
I like the phase 1 Clone Trooper personally.
A lot of people do. That's why they're making it.
And then the last thing you had was they said something about the Bad Batch. They're doing a Hauser reissue with the correct card back and figure name.
Yeah. They're fixing reissue is fixing their mistake.
Yeah.
Basically is they're reissuing the figure with the proper name on the proper card. Yes.
Now, overall, we'll kind of give our overall thoughts on the panel, and then we're going to move on to the heavy hitters of the day. And I do want to say that I think that day 2 definitely was much better. I don't want to say much better, because day 1 was there was some good stuff.
There was some good moments,
but I think day 2 was the heavy hitter.
Yeah,
of the two. But the Star Wars panel was better than I expected.
Yeah, it was better.
Better than the past year. Yeah, we didn't see any credit collection. We didn't see any, holiday figures or any of that. It really was kind of like, here's some stuff, even if some of the stuff is, and we knew the Return of the Jedi, they were going to do those because they've been extremely popular when they've done the anniversary ones before.
And I like them. I like that they do those.
Me too. I'm not going to get them because I'm an opener and I just want the figure. So I only need one version unless it's Yoda. But I thought it was much better. I thought that they had some good stuff to show. There's a lot of stuff that they've revealed in pipelines and other stuff that's still coming. Again, like I mentioned earlier, I still think that the Disney Plus era is problematic because they can't spend any time. We used to get them. They used to be able to spend 3 years, in between movies. And now they've got
filling in holes and filling in side characters and things. Yeah.
So we don't go that deep, but I'm not really doing the TV shows anymore. It's just too much to focus. But yeah, I thought it was better.
Did you notice that there's to play off what you just said, did you notice there's a trend now that they're not wanting to say movies or TV anymore? They're wanting to just say entertainment.
Yeah.
That you see this trend that's going on. It's not just with Hasbro. It's in the industry.
Yep.
Yeah, in the industry,
they
don't want you to see the thematic elements be any different on the streaming platforms than they are in the theaters. Yeah. They want there to be a cohesive connection between it. So I found that interesting, and how the toy companies are trying to reinforce that in their language too. So I found that interesting.
I did find it interesting that we didn't get a look at the Return of the Jedi retro stuff. I would have thought that we would have gotten that, and I would have thought
at least a couple early shots of it. Yeah,
and I thought for sure that we were going to get some retro Andor stuff because it seems like people are really loving those retro figures,
especially Chris. Not our Chris, but the Chris designer.
Yeah,
or Hasbro. He loves the retro stuff, man. And I gotta say, they should have him leading these videos. He is the most personable amongst the group.
Him and Emily. I'm going to say
him and Emily should be the ones on screen.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be mean here to Patrick and Eric here, but those two seem to carry themselves a lot better on screen. Mm-hmm. When the words aren't written on the prompter in front of them, they can work their way into the story. They can figure it out on the fly, and they seem a lot more organic. And don't seem to get kind of stumbled and confused. And Eric has a tendency to do this. Like he's scared to look at the camera. He looks away, or he blinks a lot. Like he's not comfortable. You can see he's not comfortable.
My guess is that if you had conversations with these guys one-on-one, it'd be a different ball game.
Oh yeah.
You throw somebody in front of a camera and you tell them like, you've got to present this whole big thing to these fans that are rabid for this stuff.
It's so different being in front of a camera.
They're going to call you out on every little thing, and we're not picking on anybody here because
not at all. They're great. They wouldn't be in their jobs if they weren't good at what they do.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's make this clear. That's not what we're saying here, but we're just saying, look at the strengths of your people and work with them, right? Like if you see those two are really good in front of a camera, why don't you focus the camera time on them and then maybe bring the other two folks in as consulting back and forth? It just because you're the leader of marketing doesn't mean you're great on the camera.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest here. You use the strengths of your staff. Like I don't get that. Like it's just common sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But the retro figures are.
That was my only feedback, by the way.
No, that's good. You're good. I thought maybe we might see some Andor retro figures because they've, like I said, they did Obi-Wan, they did Mandalorian, and those seem to be going well. I enjoy those. I didn't get all the Obi-Wans, but I did get Obi-Wan, Vader, and Ned. And that Vader is the Vader we wanted them to upgrade the original Vader to in the Kenner line. That's what they should have, instead of the one with the. But anyway, so I think that overall, we kind of were wondering last night were we going to come away from Star Wars going wah wah, and I think we're walking away going, you know what, it was all right. It was all right. So
I agree.
But now
this is Chris's time.
Chris's time. We're gonna move into the heavy hitters here, and I think that
it's time for a real action hero.
Now, I don't want to take anything away from Indiana Jones, but the excitement around the GI Joe panel with what they announced was palpable. And so we talked about, they announced on the day one that they were going to do Hawk and Tripwire. Those were name only reveals. So today they dropped 3 more name only reveals. They dropped the Snow Serpent, which a lot of people have been wanting, including me. They dropped Buzzer, one of the dreadnoughts, and they're doing female Cobra troopers. The first time in the line we're getting female Cobra troopers. Now, I'm going to call something out here, and I've said this before on this show, and that is that there's some stuff that Valaverse's Action Force is doing, and they did female troopers. They kind of came to the table with that stuff a little bit before GI Joe, and I've said it before. I think that the competition between Action Force and GI Joe is only making both products better for all of us. They're competing, and competition breeds innovation, and it means, being better. And I think both of them have upped their game, and they continue to up their game, and they continue to push each other. So I think that's good. And if those two continue, and there's a lot of crossover between, you do have people that are like, no, I'm only Action Force or I'm only GI Joe, but a lot of people, there's a lot of crossover between those two. And I've said it before, and this panel confirmed it for me today. The bulk of my collecting dollars going forward is GI Joe and Action Force, because that's where I'm having the most fun collecting. Probably second would be Power Rangers. But
so we have a question on Instagram here.
Sure.
O-rings ?
Yeah, so I'm going to get to that. We're going to talk about that.
Make sure we cover that, because we had a question here on our Instagram from it.
And I'm gonna actually, and that point, I'll talk about it a little bit later. But I want to give a shout out to Jake Stevens from Forlom to Zuckus, because he actually mentioned it there, and he had a fair point. But we'll talk about it a little bit. So we'll get through the classifieds, and I'll kind of end with that, because it was noticeably missing today. But anyway, so we got some renders. We got Rock and Roll, which Brian, can you go to his tank? Because I
sure can.
Yeah, if you saw what I posted on Instagram, now those are my shots while I was watching it, so they might not be great resolution or whatever. But no, sorry, not that his tank, histank.com.
Thanks.
Sorry,
I'm like, there's the his tank I know about. Okay.
I believe they're the same guys who run Toy Arc, but they've got the.
Is that right? I don't want to end up on a weird site.
That is correct.
Okay. I just feel like that can go real wrong.
Yes.
All right.
So if you go click into the Pulse Con presentation, there you go. There's the renders right there. Those on the screen.
Right here.
Yeah. Click on that.
Panel recap.
Yeah. It's going there, but I posted these. Okay. I did, taking shots with my phone as I was watching this. I posted this to our socials, but so they revealed Rock and Roll, which is, let's see here. Yeah. They don't give the names. I don't expect you to know the
Rock
names.
And Roll tattooed skull on hand.
Yeah. So he's the guy second from the right there. Yep. And then you have, let's see here. Next was Bazooka, which is the one all the way to the right wearing the jersey.
That one I know of. I know that character.
Yeah, and they did him in Tiger Force. So I'm not doing Tiger Force. I'm waiting for this edition. So that's cool. And then you have Torpedo. He's the Navy SEAL in the wetsuit. Yep. Nope.
Here.
There you go.
Wetsuit, yep. Brian. Wetsuit. So he comes with it says right here.
Yeah, he comes with a ton of gear.
Yeah.
And Torpedo is awesome. He's one of those characters that I loved as a kid because of all his accessories.
Oh, he can even carry it. It even comes with a backpack to carry all the gear.
Yep.
Cool.
So he's got like his breather, a backpack that's got his oxygen tank. He's got like a knife, a pistol, a spear gun, or not a pistol, a SMG. So it's really cool. And then you have Copperhead there in the middle for Cobra. They did say that they made the choice to have his helmet not come off because the helmet is so iconic as part of that
Right.
character, because he's not a troop builder, he's his own character. And then here's my favorite of the day, and
he's a classic. Yeah,
Shipwreck. And the original render we got of him was not there was a lot of people that were like, the hat looks a little funny. It looks like they went back and kind of cleaned it up a little bit. So he looks exactly like I want him to look. Somebody said he looks a little too modern on one of the G.I. Joe pages that I moderate. And I kind of was like, how does he look modern? The Navy doesn't even wear that uniform anymore.
Here we go.
Yeah. This is a very classic Navy look. They do not wear this uniform anymore in the Navy. But he's got the sailor hat. He's got the hair there that if you want to change it, I'm leaving him with the hat because that's
cool, man. I love when they do stuff like that.
Yeah. And then he comes with a pistol, and then he comes with a
musket.
Yes.
And I just read it fits in the holster.
He's got the two holsters, and then he's got the grappling hook like the original hook, and then he's got Polly right there. So
right.
if you're a G.I. Joe fan, the animals that some of these characters have are just as iconic as the characters themselves. And
he also has a reverse Rock eyebrow, if you noticed.
Yeah.
The Rock, usually the eyebrow is on that side, but him, it's on the right.
But he does that expression in the original cartoon a lot. So
that's awesome. No, I love it.
This was tricky for them because they had to walk the line of doing the old school, but bringing it modern.
Let me go back in order here to show all the accessories that Chris was talking about. Here you go.
There's Copperhead.
There's Copperhead.
You can tell the Copperhead has a little bit less, but then you look at Torpedo here. He is loaded out.
That is a lot of stuff. They weren't kidding, right?
Yep. And all of it, he's got, if you look at the backpack for Torpedo, he even has a little slot there so his SMG can snap on there. So all of his accessories,
that's cool.
He can carry, which, Navy SEALs, when they're doing ops.
Speaking about what you said with Action Force, look at the magazine.
Yep.
That definitely came influenced from Action Force, right?
You can thank Valaverse for that.
I remember you talking about that in a previous show.
And Bazooka, they don't have him with his accessories yet, but he'll probably just come with a big bazooka. I mean, the name kind of says it all. And Rock and Roll here.
God, I love his beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the beard. I love that they kind of brought him a little bit modern.
Man. I love it.
They even said they gave him one of the hands is like the devil horns because his name is Rock and Roll. And it's got got a skull on there. And
I love it.
Yeah. That
figure is awesome.
They really kind of went, all out here. Now, I don't know what his gauntlet is on his left arm. That's kind of weird, but
those are definitely ammo.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like some kind of like decoration but
I wonder what that one is on the right.
That's probably his Joe Pro.
Explain this to me because I have no idea.
Most of the Joe somewhere on them, they have this. It was really kind of highlighted in the first couple waves. It's kind of a blue. It's like a communication device.
Oh,
and
okay.
It came to be known as the Joe Pro.
So for old man like me, it's Dick Tracy.
Yeah, it might be. I'm not sure what they're doing with it yet, but
whenever I talk to my students, I'm like, "Oh, you're talking on your Dick Tracy," and they're like, "What?" They're like, "This is my Apple device. What are you talking about?"
Actually,
that's weird.
When I was live streaming watching it with or FaceTiming with my buddy Sean, that's how I was talking to you. Was I was going to my watch and doing voice to text through my Apple Watch. So those were renders only, no pre-orders of those today, but they look good, and I can't wait to.
They look cool, man. Especially that one is tempting, and I'm not a G.I. Joe person, but that figure is cool.
We're getting deep into there's a lot of figures that they've revealed. They did show. Yep.
That's what you're talking about earlier.
That's that's not the female Cobra Trooper. That's the Hiss tank. She was one of the unlocks. So that's the female Hiss tank driver. She might be the tactician.
Okay.
She comes with a shovel and some stuff to do some work. They showed the Cobra Commander from the Hiss tank. Yeah, you'll see him there. There's a picture. Nope, that's Barbecue. There's Emily. Yeah, there you go. There. So there's three of them there. So you have the unpainted. The one that's unpainted, we actually get anyone who backed the Hiss tank we're going to all get to vote on which color. And they told us, they already gave us the 6 colors to choose from.
Cool.
So we all get to kind of choose that, whichever one wins. There's no bad paint scheme. Obviously you want the one that you pick to win, but there's no bad one.
Close up.
There's Cobra Commander, and that's the Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander. If you look at the thing, it looks like he's got Mickey ears on his Cobra emblem.
Oh boy, haha.
And then you've got the tactician there. And so those are going to be part of the his tank. And so that kind of wrapped that up. And then we're going to go into the stuff that actually went up for pre-order today.
I was going to try to do some kind of crossover Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander voice, and it would have been terrible. So I just laughed myself out of doing it. It's fine. All right. So what else? I'm sorry.
So if you go back up to the top, there should be like at the main, all the way up there. Nope. Go back to the main page, I think.
Oh, okay.
It should show all the ones that went up for today.
Oh, you want me to go back to the Hasbro?
Yeah, here you go. This is what
gotcha.
Yeah, well, you can go back to Hasbro too. That works too. Yeah.
That way we can show what
yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, you're good. Let's go back here. The back button is my friend. All right, there we go. All right. There you go.
We'll start with so today the exclusive
Cobra
is Serpentor with his air chariot, and it was available for Pulse Premium at 5:00 and everyone else at 6. It was sold out by
$80.
You know what though? I'm not defending Hasbro's pricing. We've talked about this, about
no, I just meant in general.
Pricing.
I'm not trying to pick on things here. I'm just like, that's a lot of money to throw down.
But I think a lot of us, I wasn't going to be surprised if this thing was 100. I didn't want it to be. So when they and the thing was they announced it on the live stream. We knew it was coming, but everyone was like price. And eventually someone had shared that in the chat that one of the moderators had said, oh, it's $79.99. I was surprised. I thought for sure this thing was going to be $90. So,
it's a little gun in its mouth.
Oh yeah.
Gun in its mouth.
The bigger guns come off and can be actually carried.
Wow.
He comes
little friend right there. Look at that.
It's
like he's in a dance video though. There's like smoke. He's like dancing right here. He's got his snake right there.
Well, go to there's a picture with the packaging and everything that's kind of in it.
Oh, wait, this is a good shot.
Oh, yeah. That fan in the air chariot actually spins.
Oh, look at that. Look at the ammo thing. Yeah.
That's another.
It spins.
Yep. That fan spins there. You can spin the top of it.
All right, let me get to your packaging shot there. Oh, wait. Sorry. Let me go one more.
You're good. It kind of shows everything that comes in there.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. So he was. So, we didn't know price. And then that information came out. And I thought a lot of people thought this was going to be a little bit more expensive. Do I think they could have sold it for?
This is a shot. Sorry.
Do I think they could have sold this for like 65? I do, but I didn't think that this was a terrible price. I was expecting this to be much more. So I think most people were of the mind frame that this was going to be more, but here we are. And I was able to grab mine, but by 6:10, when it was,
it is really cool though.
Yeah, they were sold out. So it took 10 minutes of it being available to the general public for it to be gone.
So it tells you if you make a product that people like and it's expensive, they will still buy it. But if you make a product that's expensive, but that people have to justify themselves to buy it, they won't. Hint, hint, hint. HasLab. Okay. Yeah. All right. Sorry. Just wanted to throw that out there.
No, you're good. So that kind of covers the exclusive, which was highly anticipated since Comic-Con.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. There's a lot going on there. That's pretty cool.
And then you have so there's Lieutenant Falcon. You have Outback next to him, and Outback they're doing him in Tiger Force, but this is his regular version. I was
going to say, yeah.
This is the version everybody wants. And then, so you have the Crimson Bat, which this one sold out before it was even for Pulse Premium. It never was available for the general public on Pulse. Now, you can go to all of these except for the exclusive are available Amazon, Dorkside, Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, wherever you get your your stuff. So if you missed out on Pulse, you didn't miss out, because these were still available on both Dorkside and Big Bad before we went live. I checked. Cover Girl sold out after Serpentor. And then you had Marauders Barbecue right there. Now, Barbecue was a Target exclusive. This is like, Marauders is like a sub thing. So there was a lot of that went in G.I. Joe to get reuse, just like Tiger Force and Python Patrol. I only ordered, I did not order Barbecue. And I only ordered one Crimson Bat because I like the regular bats, but I think that the Crimson Bat will look cool with the Crimson Guards once those come out.
If someone just joined in and heard the last 10 words you just said, I don't like bats too much, so I didn't get any bats. I didn't order Barbecue. If you were to take that out of context,
yeah,
it's just amazing. When we talk about toys, like, if we talk about certain toy brands and different characters, it's like a whole nother language. We're like, well, maybe he doesn't like barbecue. It's okay. He could have eaten pizza or something like that.
We're using code. Yeah, they're code names.
Code word.
It's funny. It's funny the things
names, right? Yeah,
you retain from your
the whole time. If someone just tuned in that knows nothing about G.I. Joe, and they're like, man, this guy does not like barbecue at all.
But it's funny what you retain from childhood, because I could go through and basically from probably 82 when the line started through 88, I could probably correctly name 90% of those figures. That's awesome. And I still, to this day, and I don't know why, but that just tells you how iconic this line was.
You need to write a book like Pixel Dan about G.I. Joe. That's what you need to do, like Pixel Dan did about Motu. You need to go do that, and then be a wrestler on the side somehow and have a secret life as a wrestler.
Yeah, no, I'm not into the wrestling thing. I'll leave that.
I had no idea he did that until I found out maybe a month or two ago or so.
Yeah.
And then he started posting more of that stuff about his wrestling career. And I'm like, I had no clue. It was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are books that have been written about the vintage collection. There's actually, I forget what his name is, but he's been on the Toys That Made Us. And
yeah.
He did a Joe book. He's done some books like this. I have his G.I. Joe book. I think, let's see here. What else did we go for here?
What else? Should I go back to his tank?
No, there's a G.I. Joe Nerf gun, which I'm not even going to cover because that's.
Come on.
It's a Nerf gun. I think it's
self-explanatory.
Yeah, I mean, it has G.I. Joe on one side, Cobra on the other. It was kind of like, they do these cross things sometimes,
right,
like the Light Bright.
I remember growing up with Ninja Turtles. They had a Ninja Turtle Nerf gun, water gun, Super Soaker.
Yeah. So what we'll get into now is there was something that was missing from this panel, and this has been the 40th anniversary of A Real American Hero, and that is that they didn't talk anything in the O-Ring line. So they didn't talk about no updates for the Sky Striker, which have been honestly lacking, getting updates on where they're at with that. And then they didn't reveal anything new. They didn't talk about any, possibly new figures coming for the O-Ring line. And they kind of snuck up the, Brian, can you go to the G.I. Joe tab for brands? Or actually, go to exclusive. Sure. Go to exclusives. Actually, go to exclusives.
Sure. Okay.
And go to partner exclusives.
Gotcha.
Or is it under Hasbro? I'm sorry. It's under Hasbro only exclusive, or Hasbro Pulse exclusives. Hasbro Pulse exclusives. Yeah. And scroll down a little bit. There it is. The Stinger. I always forget what it's called. They kind of snuck that in on the last live stream. It kind of was very quiet. They kind of snuck it in at the very end. Right. I was able to get one, but that's actually part of the retro O-Ring line. That figure that comes with it's going to be O-Ring, but that's the last news of O-Ring that we've got. And they even snuck that in. So there are a lot of 3 3/4 Joe fans that were, kind of upset that we spent all that time on Classified and didn't talk at all about O-Ring, especially being the 40th anniversary year.
And for those who don't listen commonly to us on podcasting and who may not know a lot about Joe's, explain to them what O-ring stands for.
So O-ring is in the old figures, the waist kind of connected to the bottom half, with a rubber band essentially is what it is. And they call it an O-ring. And those, those are what kind of gave the figure the ability to move and do that.
Do a little hip shake.
Yeah, it wasn't unique. It was, I think G.I. Joe might have been the first to do it, but it was used in other toy lines as well. But I was actually, I mentioned Jake Stevens from Forlom to Zuckus, and I saw him say, while the classified panel was great, he was really kind of missing that there was no O-ring. And I said, that's a fair point. So yeah, for sure, that was something that was missing today. And I'm not sure where they're going. It would be nice for them to kind of address that, but also I will say that the G.I. Joe team, they used all of their time and they went over. It felt like they were rushing through everything. So it felt completely different from the Star Wars one, where it felt like they were stalling for time. The G.I. Joe one, it felt like they were trying to rush to get through stuff. So, I don't think they had anything planned, but it would be nice to see something. So, but personally, I'm happy with what was announced today. I'm really excited for where this line is going. Like I said yesterday, just get some product into our hands. These long waits in between waves are killer. So, but I think that's where we'll leave G.I. Joe, Brian. I know you're excited to talk about Indy.
I sure am. And I'm going to start off with this. Yep, I sure am, Chris. I sure am.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're ready to go.
I am ready to go. I've been ready for a while. And I broke out my Indiana Jones, fully licensed Indiana Jones jacket back from 2008. I still have this.
Nice.
Yeah. And my Indiana Jones hat from, there you go. Real deal. Yeah. But Indy,
Indy's
the man with the
back.
hat, the man with the whip and the hat is back. Part-time teacher during the day, or dean, assistant dean, as he was at the end of Crystal Skull. We don't know. A lot of time has passed. We don't know where he is now, but we do know where he was. And give you some history. Back in 2008 was the last time we saw any kind of major figure merchandise from Indiana Jones. Obviously, it started back when the original films came out back in 81, followed by 85, and then with Temple of Doom, and then 89 with Last Crusade, and then most recently in 2008 in Crystal Skull. Back in the early 80s, they did release a retro line, which they did pay homage today. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But they had a retro line. They had some different play sets, and even did some 12-inch scale figures as well. Kenner was involved in doing that in the beginning. And actually, that is pretty much the logo from back then. That you see right here on the retro figure. And they did announce that they are going to do, I believe, 4 different sets of things that they're going to be doing. They're going to be doing the Adventure series, which is basically Black Series, but for Indiana Jones. They did mention that there will be 25 plus figures. I paid attention to all the details they slipped in there. So their first 5 figures, wave 1 is going to be all Raiders focused, meaning Raiders of the Lost Ark. For anyone who knows, that is the name of the original film. Indiana Jones did not get added until later. It was the reverse of Star Wars, right? Star Wars was just Star Wars, and then they added the name in. Indiana Jones was Raiders of the Lost Ark. Oh, Indiana Jones, we're going to add that into the title. And so with Indiana Jones, they are going to do the Adventure series, as I mentioned, and they showcased all 5 figures, 2 of which are still available for pre-order. That went up for pre-order at 6 p.m. today on all your major outlets, including Hasbro Pulse. And also, and we'll go into detail about those in a moment, but the other areas they talked about was, Chris, remind me again, what's the name of that Star Wars series that's made for kids? That's like
Mission Fleet.
Thank you. They're going to do a Mission Fleet style for Indiana Jones. But it's going to be him seeking out certain artifacts and things like that. So it may involve like his plane, like the plane he's in Last Crusade. It may involve kind of like the mine train and things like that. I didn't say that, but I'm just kind of guesstimating things here. But my guess is they're going to have some different vehicles and situations from Indiana Jones involving the characters and the artifacts. That's going to be made for kids.
Yep.
They did not show any prototypes or any kind of early designs for that, or even say what's going to be released. Everything's coming out in spring of next year. The date for release listed for the pre-orders for the Adventure series, which were the only figures that went up for sale outside of the Retro, which also had the same release date, was April 10th of next year, which gives us an idea of when to expect things. So probably start seeing things in February and March, probably in the stores, because they usually come out about a month or two before the actual pre-order release date hits. Typically what we found with stuff from Hasbro in recent year. Also, on top of that, they did announce they're going to be doing role play items, the first of which they showcased and actually played with a little bit there, which is the Staff of Ra headpiece, that if you put it into the correct spot, like Indy did himself, having read the back of the Staff of Ra, he read the front and then read the back, that he needs to take 2 steps back in order to pay tribute to the sun.
They've been digging in the wrong place.
Yeah. Belosh. Belloc. Anyway. But when you plug it as electronic and it lit up the red, think of it like Lord of the Rings. It lit up red with the writing on it. And so it looks like the base is probably some kind of hardened plastic based on what we saw in person. They did say that that's metal, the piece of the top. It didn't look metal to me, but we'll see.
Yeah, it doesn't look metal, but
it doesn't look metal to me. I think I did see a real metal one today, though, at Disney. Those have made it into the parks. The Staff of Ra replica, as I digress, Staff of Ra replica, and the Voodoo doll with the feather the feather quill piece was available in the parks today from Temple of Doom. But I think it's a cool piece. $50 for that. I don't know. It's not that nice a quality for that kind of price, considering a metal Staff of Ra at the parks before discounts and everything is like $70. So it's like, would I rather pay a 1-to-1 scale that's actual high level movie replica for almost the same price as the electronic toy? The price point's a little off there. Yeah,
I was surprised that they let off with not let off, because it's not the first thing they showed, but for role play that they let off with that.
They did not lead off very well at the beginning of this panel.
We should point out
in circles for like 5 minutes. And the panel here, let's talk about the Indiana Jones brand team.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. We got to talk about that.
So Chris, who I'm a fan of, I like Chris, and he handled himself well talking about the line, because he basically does everything retro at Hasbro. So obviously he's involved with the line with the retro stuff. But they also Patrick is overseeing it. I'm so excited. And Eric, and my other favorite person, Eric.
Yep.
So I kind of, at the beginning of it, I was like texting Chris, oh God, I've lost faith already. I was hoping maybe there'd be some new blood in there, but I wasn't surprised, because I was hoping to.
They already have the established relationship with Lucasfilm, so you knew it was going to be these guys. I was kind of, we'll see.
It's fine, but the figures look great. And let me jump into the figures now. So role playing retro. I didn't mention retro, but there's going to be a throwback retro series. And the cards look good. We're going to look at the example close up in a second. But the Adventure series, the Mission Fleet style series, the role playing, and retro. So those are the 4 areas they talked about.
Yeah, the kids line, I think they said Worlds of Adventure. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, they did show a logo for it. Yeah, for Worlds of Adventure. Yeah, they did show that.
Yep.
And so let's start off with the retro figure. They did not show any other figures. They just showed Indy. They didn't even say who else is coming yet. We can assume they're going to go with maybe the original, basically recreate the original retro figures. But it looked cool, man. I've already pre-ordered this, obviously. but I love the card. I love that they brought back the old card for it. If you ever look up the original figures, this is pretty spot on. I got to say, they did a good job recreating this.
Well, they did the nice thing. So, like, with the Star Wars figures, the legs are straight. By the time Kenner got to these, they had made the adjustment to the knees there. And so they've stayed faithful to that.
I was really impressed by that too. Yeah, that really made me happy. So that's the retro $14.99 price point. That's kind of what I thought was going to happen. That's what they're at right now.
That's in line with vintage collection and retro. I mean, retro, I think is like $12
usually.
now.
Yeah, like $12. Yeah, but I get it. It's indie. We'll see. And then the two that they showed for pre-order.
Well, before we show these two, I wanted to say that they did point out that this is a wave of 5.
Yes, I mentioned that earlier. Yeah, it's a wave of 5,
but they
from
only
Raiders.
But what confused me was, if it's a wave of 5, why are we only putting up 2 for pre-order today? Because wouldn't they all ship together?
That's a great question. That is a wonderful question.
Especially since, I'm not going to spoil it, but especially since there's something special with these. And
they did, yeah. And so the Adventure series for indie, yeah. So the first one they're doing is the first film, Rise of the Lost Ark. Mm-hmm. Let me see. Let me bring up our Instagram here.
Yeah, because we posted about this too.
Yeah, let me go here. And it's in the story, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have this, and then we have
I like the solid.
Yeah. It might be on the Facebook, I think. I don't remember. Let's see. So let's see.
For anyone who thinks managing all these social medias is easy, it's not.
No, it's not. There's too much. There's too much going on, right? All right, so let's see. All right, so we have...
There we go. I see it.
There it is. That's the photo I was trying to pull up. Yeah. So this is a breakdown of all 5, guys.
Yeah.
And what it builds? The Ark
of the Covenant.
The Ark of the Covenant. All right,
Don't open it, though.
Yeah, and then they opened it.
I know.
And I was like, I loved the comment from Chris, though. That was my favorite part of the whole thing. It's not our Chris, but the Chris on the brand team. He turns around and goes, he says, but it doesn't melt faces.
Yep.
You can buy it, but it won't melt faces. We can promise you that. And the other guys were like, and then they laughed hesitantly afterwards because they didn't get it at first. And I was like, wow.
Although Patrick went with the deep cuts, though, talking about Indiana Jones
moments.
The series on TV, Young Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that I was like, yeah, Young Indy. I was like yelling up from my little couch. But Marion's face sculpt, I know you can't tell on this image that Hasbro put up because they didn't put any like really close-knit images. I guess they might have it on their site.
Well, if you go to, if you wanted to show, they actually show on Toy Arc, they actually show like the breakdown pictures so you can see their accessories and what they come with and everything. If you scroll down to the there should be one for Indy. I'll go back to try and go back to the main page.
I'm getting there.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, we're good. All right. So here we go. This is much better. All right.
Yep.
So I want you to look at this sculpt. It's pretty darn good. And I thought this was interesting. They talked about the monkey. They decided they were going to try and do the face scan, to do a scan of the monkey's face instead of doing a generic monkey. And they said it actually came out good.
It looks like the monkey from this.
It does.
Yeah.
I hope that monkey's getting likeness rights. That's what I hope. I hope that monkey's family and estate is making money. All right, and then
they're gonna de-age.
There you go. There's a great shot of it.
They're gonna de-age the monkey for the next one.
But look at this. You can see her freckles, man. Look at that.
The only thing with this figure that I was kind of like, and I know it's just the way that
your pieces of the Ark there.
Yeah, is just the way the pants sit. because they're kind of
it'll be interesting. Yeah, it's gonna be one of those figures where it's gonna be interesting.
The other thing, Brian, that we didn't call out on this, and I didn't call it out on G.I. Joe.
Oh, I'm gonna call out something on this in a minute, but go for it.
These are pinless. Where Hasbro is moving to the pinless model for everything. They're slowly doing away with the pin stuff, which they need. We talked about it yesterday. They need to, but the Indiana Jones figures are all pinless. Everything they've showed for G.I. Joe going forward is pinless. I know there's some early stuff has pins, but Hasbro is moving away from the pins, and we're going into the pinless. Which again, Valaverse was all pinless from the beginning.
So I don't know if everyone recognized this with the indie figures, but every single one of the figures they showed, they've made already back in 2008. Yeah. These were not, and one thing, these are all brand new figures. Okay. Let me not say these are not new figures. They're new figures, but for them to make the comment, when we were going through the costumes and the sections, we decided that these were the most quintessential outfits. And I'm like, no, you didn't. You went back to your old records and you saw you made these figures back in 3 3/4 back in 2008. And you're like, you know what? We don't have to reinvent the wheel too much here. We at least have something to start with. We don't need to pick out a different scene. Don't lie. Don't. I mean, that's what drives me nuts. Like this is the version they made of him. They did not make any other Belloc figure in 2008. This is the one they made. This is the same Marion figure they made back in 2008. They did not make any other version of her.
And she came with the frying pan too.
She came with a frying pan and came with a monkey.
Monkey, yeah.
So
I do like the build the arc theme. It's kind of like the Marvel Legends build a.
Don't look. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Whatever you do. All right, we're okay. We're okay. We're okay. Yeah. But what I did want to show is Sala is also the exact same figure. I really wanted to see Sala in his outfit where he's sitting back in the chair talking to Indy right when he first gets the Kylo.
Yeah.
I wanted that look, where he's got like that linen shirt and he's just chilling and he's like, oh, they talk about this one archaeologist, and he goes into the whole thing. And I'm like, oh, that would have been cool, But
look at that face sculpt though. That's a excellent,
they did. Yeah. Let me get in here. Yeah. Yeah. And I want to tell you that it looks good here, but it looked even better in hand when they were showing it on screen.
Yeah.
These shots show a little glare from the hair because of the way the pictures are being taken. But I'm going to tell you, in person, when they showed it physically in hand, it looked gorgeous. It had a lot more definition to the face than you can see here.
That's why I grabbed some of those screenshots, or not screenshots, but pictures with my phone. Rather than because once they send out the promo stuff, sometimes it's the lighting is different.
And then Tote. Oh man, Tote looked awesome.
Oh, now,
we go back to.
I'll talk about it a little bit here in a minute, but I almost got this one, and I said I wasn't going to go.
I did.
Yeah. Well, I expected you to.
And you want to know why?
Oh,
if you want to know why, well, and like as it was on, Erin was sitting there next to me, my wife. She was like, "I'm like, if they show that melting face, I'm gonna die." And then they showed the melting face, and I was like,
"Do they not have it in the promo?"
I don't know. I don't see it, but
look at his hand. Yeah,
they did the bird hand.
Yep, the staff of Raw hand.
That's so cool, man. Yeah. But I don't know that they have the photo here. They showed an in-person shot, but I don't know that they did.
Do they think it's too scary? I thought it was awesome.
I guess so. I don't think. No, it's not in here.
You can go to.
Oh wait. Here we go. On the back of the package. There it is.
It looks fantastic.
It's pretty awesome.
If you want to see it,
I wonder. That's so. Everybody knows this, right? With figures that involve World War II era, bad German folks. During that time, they cannot show certain symbols on these figures. The only time you're ever going to see them on a figure is if it's a third party, someone that's not a licensed person making a figure, or someone adding a custom piece to it. But what's interesting to me is they still have his pin here on the inside lapel.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's on the pin? Is it just white, plain? Because we know what's on the pin.
Yeah.
In the film. Okay, so I'm just curious what they put there. But anyway, it's amazing though. I got to say that this definitely lived up to my expectations for the figures. I'm super excited. I already pre-ordered. I pre-ordered the retro, and I pre-ordered Tote, and I pre-ordered Indie. So
nice.
Yeah. But that's the Indie series. But they did say 25 plus figures.
You got to show Indie in all his glory.
Oh yeah, right.
Because I was amazed with this figure. Now I didn't get the retro one. I didn't have those growing up, the Indiana Jones line, so I don't have the affinity for those retro ones like I do with, say, Star Wars or Joe. But with this Indie 6-inch figure, this was a no-brainer. I was in on this as soon as I saw it.
It reminds me so much. We were talking about the Figma figure yesterday. It reminds me a lot of the Figma figure.
Well, you want to talk about quintessential. If it comes out looking like this is quintessential.
Now, you want to know what's interesting here? Toy companies do not like to show characters with guns in their hand. But
right.
They did it multiple times with the Indie characters.
They sure did. Yeah,
and I thought, and that really caught my eye that they did that, because they're supposed to not, make it a focus. Like they're like, yeah, I can come with a gun, but we don't want to say it or show it.
Well, it's like I think it's DC is the big one anymore that they won't even show it. They won't even show that it comes with guns until they show what he comes with.
Did you see there were two whips?
Yes.
One coiled. And then one open.
Yep. I like that because then he can
put the weathering on the jacket. Yeah.
He can put the coiled one on his belt there like he wears in the, in the film.
Yeah, look, you can see the tab right here.
Yep. Now, did they say, I don't remember if they said or not, is the fedora removable?
They did not say. And that's what I kept yelling at the screen the whole time, Chris. Get out scared. I was like, man, I want to know, can you take the fedora off? I'm like, I don't know.
I'm going to say it's probably not. That's just my, gut. But
I don't know. I'm surprised that they didn't point that out. I guess. I don't know.
And that's a pretty good Harrison Ford. And we've talked
the hand sculpts. We got to talk about the hands. What's unique about Indie is it's not using the typical just snap in hands. It's got the ball joint hands.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Really cool.
So like SH Figure Arts does the ball joint hands. Yeah.
Yep. So that's what I'm saying. It reminds me a lot of the Figma Indiana Jones, which was a licensed Indiana Jones figure, probably the best one until this guy right here coming. Look at that. Look at that weathering on the jacket. Oh, look at the coloration and the way that it's wetted a little. It looks almost like wetted a little bit. The shirt almost looks soaked in a way, like with his sweat and things that he's going through. It's like perfect.
And the wrinkles in the fabric there.
Yes, right here near the shoes. Oh, that's so good.
I like the one where he's got the whip and he's got it back.
That
one. Yeah.
I mean, it's just they knocked it out the park with this Indie figure. They really did. You can tell they spent a lot of love and put a lot of love into this. I mean, it's really well done.
Well, and I hope we've
never had a definitive Indie figure.
No, and we've had Indie lines before, and I really hope that this one goes for a long time. I think that unfortunately the 2008 line got tied too much to the movie, and that's kind of
like they're starting this one off with Raiders. Yeah,
they're
starting a little bit early.
You need, and that's what you need to do, and then you can move into. I don't know which one's more popular,
but I like how each film is going to be covered with a series of figures that builds an artifact. Yes. So I love that. I think that's such a great idea. Now, it kind of plays off a little bit what they did with the 08 series. It came with an artifact. Each figure came with like a Raiders like crate, cardboard crate that included.
And it was random, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was random what you got. Yeah.
But I almost ordered Tote there. I actually, my buddy Sean and I were watching this one, and my buddy Sean, I think it was like, he's like, I never knew that his first name was Arnold.
I know.
Like,
And then he
that's
was
cool.
a major.
Yeah.
I didn't know that he was a major.
And
I
then
didn't
we're
know
like,
that part.
and then we're like, oh, Sala just is Sala.
A British sword is a soaring sword. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, they and then like you Belloc on here, they did some good stuff. And this opens, I mean, they're starting with this, but who knows? Maybe you'll get a second wave of Raiders. It'd be nice to have maybe some different outfits of these guys or something. But
I have the 6 scale Belloc from Sideshow. I have that one. Yeah, I have that, and I have the Metacom indie. I also have a third party indie coming along the way because no one's really done a nice 6 scale indie. I mean, Hot Toys did one. It's okay, but it has its issues. A lot of people, there's a huge community of indie fans that have made their own custom Indiana Jones figures because there's a lot of customizers in the Indiana Jones collectors world because there's not a lot of licensed product.
Well, that's like Ghostbusters.
People got to make it themselves.
Yeah, it's like Ghostbusters. Those guys make their own proton packs.
So many unlicensed Ghostbuster stuff out there until recently with Afterlife. And the same thing's happening here with Indy. There's so many unlicensed stuff just because no one made it. It's not because people were trying to make money off it. They wanted to make it for themselves so they could enjoy it.
Did you pull up the packaging for one of these? I think the packaging looks fantastic. Yeah.
I do like how they did it. So we have the figure art in the front. We have the build an artifact.
Yep.
And then we have a nice artistic look of the scenes from the film. Indy in the chase, Indy in the gold fertility golden idol, the golden fertility idol, and then we have that classic stern look of Indy right there. And then
the other side has the cross cell.
Yeah. Let's see here.
I don't know if they show it.
There it is. And then it shows all the accessories that are in there. Also shows the pieces of the artifact it comes with. And if you also know, there's only one way to travel when we go with Indiana Jones, and that's by map.
Yeah.
And if you see in the background, you're traveling by map.
That's a nice touch.
Yeah. Nice little touch there.
He comes with a lot of accessories for, like you look at what you get with the 3
Star Wars sets figure. Of hands. But if you include the ones on his hand, the ones that are connected to him, you get 3 sets of hands. You get all of those artifacts. You get the artifact piece. You also get the idol. My guess is like if I were to guess outward, if we think of like Temple of Doom, it's probably going to be building. It's probably going to be building maybe the shrine to the Sankara stones.
That's what I was thinking.
It's my guess, like the shrine to the Sankara stones, and the Sankara stones fit into the spots. And my guess is Indy will come with like the urn of Noriachi, like from the beginning of the film. If they do a version of Indy in the white dinner coat and suit, I'll die. That's like one of my favorite looks of Indy.
Yeah.
From the beginning of Temple Doom when they do the anything goes number. I love it.
I'm hoping, I know where I talked about it a little bit yesterday too, like when they get to Last Crusade. I remember reading the novelization before I got to see the movie. But I remember I was, I loved Sean Connery.
I did see that one in the theaters when it came out. Thank you.
Yeah. So there's some good stuff that they could go here. And like I said, I hope this line does well. I know that there's been this pent up desire for an Indiana Jones line. I think where the only thing I can see, and I think that you saw it today when I was talking to friends and whatnot, a lot of us, myself included, were like, I'm just going to get Indy, right? So that's the tricky part. I think that like people like yourself, Brian, that are hardcore Indy fans, you guys are in. But I think for us that are kind of on the peripheral, it's hoping that the other figures sell well enough to continue doing it. Although I got to tell you, the melted face is really, really
tempting,
cool.
Right?
Yeah, it is very tempting.
I can't show you on screen right now, but on one wall, and Chris knows you've seen before, I have concept art signed by Steranko, who did the original concept art, framed on my wall. And then I also have a framed, officially licensed official pics photograph signed by John Rhys Davies and Kieran Allen. The piece with both of them in it, and he's wearing that outfit I talked about earlier that I would love to see a figure made of. But yeah, I've had the luxury of getting to meet both in person. And what's the best part was the first time I met John Rice Davies, I was dating my now wife. So we weren't we were still dating. It was early on, but she knows, but she wasn't with me to go to the con, which was down in Tampa at the time when I went to that. And then when Karen Allen came around, we were married. I'm like, we went and met her together. And that was cool, So in the beginning of the photo, when I met John Rice Davies, it says to Brian, John Rice Davies. And then we had Karen go and Aaron. She added on and Aaron next to Brian from John Rice Davies, and then she autographed her name. So kind of a great story there. Yeah.
John Rhys Davies. So like, I love him as Sala, but there, and I love him as one other character, which is another movie you and I love. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love John Rhys Davies. I love his work. I love what he's done.
He's such a nice guy. He was one of the nicest people I've ever met.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they're going to do some generic troopers in this line, like the big dude, the Indy fights when they're at the plane.
Yep. The German mechanic.
Yes, that's
he has a name. He's called the German mechanic.
I remember watching an interview where he talked about like doing that fight with Harrison Ford and the stunt double, and how they had to kind of like, certain parts were Harrison Ford, other was the stunt double and stuff, and he had to be careful. And yeah. But this line, it looks good. They're off to a good start here.
It's gonna be real good.
I am interested to see what the Worlds of Adventure line looks like. I don't know if you've seen in the stores, but they have the Mission Fleet, the Obi-Wan, that has Obi-Wan and Ned B and I think Vader and Reva. Those things look adorable. I know that's not a word we use here on the show, but I saw that. I was like,
it's adorbs.
It's adorbs. I'm not buying it, but I thought it was cool.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So if this line looks like that, then because it's hard for me to justify why they're doing a kids line when kids don't really know who Indiana Jones is. But I don't know if they can make it cute like that and something. Maybe they're onto something.
Well, I'm excited. Obviously, I pulled out my hat. Actually, hey, I do have a whip and a fully like a licensed whip that they used to sell in the parks. So I have the whip. Like at one point, my wife and I were gonna like fully do like an indie, and like she was gonna do like a bounding kind of indie with like an adventure looking dress, and she was gonna use the whip as a belt kind of thing at one point. But one day, but I'm so excited about this, and indie has always been near and dear to my heart. The film franchise and the character, and I've always kind of aspired to be and connect with that so much, a little bit from, at least from the educator standpoint. Obviously I'm not adventuring on the weekends to exotic locations to look for artifacts, but
really, I thought you were like in some jungle in Costa Rica somewhere right now.
No, but it was great, and I think from your love of G.I. Joe and seeing the cool stuff they launched today, and from me with the indie, it gives me a renewed excitement for Hasbro, because I haven't been really into Hasbro for a while, and Hasbro has given me a reason to come back a little bit with indie. So I'm excited. I always going to give stuff a shot when it makes sense.
That's a good way to put it. I mean, it really was day two. We talked about it. Day two was kind of the bigger day of the two, but yeah, I mean, I feel like, and seeing the Hasbro team up on stage for G.I. Joe, I when I put our Instagram post, I said, hats off. And I genuinely mean that, because I think that they took something that kind of stumbled out of the gates. They tried to do two different things with it. They didn't know what they wanted to do with it. They took the fan feedback and then they started to run with it. And the line has been gangbusters. And you can tell that the people working on that line get it. It's just, I'm excited about that line. And that's hard for me to say because I've been so cynical of the Star Wars line in the recent, like the last year or so, that to have that excitement for GI Joe, and like you said, to be excited about Indy and showing some stuff that we're really kind of excited about and looking forward to. I wish these Indy figures were coming sooner. What they say, April 2023,
April 10th, 2023.
Yeah.
I marked that down on my calendar.
I expect we'll see them a little bit sooner than that.
I agree. But I think so.
But good stuff, man. Day 2, they nailed it. I mean, at least from these two properties, I think, and we talked about it. Star Wars did better. So
yeah, it did better. There were a few hits in there. Definitely some hits this time that I think were more on point. I think one piece I will say that worked really well that you pointed out is they didn't push any kind of repaints or credit collections or holiday stuff. I think that was a smart plan. Focus on the stuff that was legitimate, not the stuff that is really just a cash grabber.
But I one thing I did want to point out as we're wrapping up here, because I was keeping track of it, and I might have mentioned it earlier, but I've been saying for a while that Star Wars stuff, it used to be guaranteed. Star Wars exclusive sellout. It used to be guaranteed. Now nothing on Pulse from Star Wars sold out today.
G.I. Joe, MMPR. That's where they're at now. Those are going to be the exclusives that sell out.
Yeah, and G.I. Joe had 3 items today that sold out on Pulse.
It's their most popular
I actually
brand.
was kind of surprised that Indy didn't sell out on Pulse, because
I'm not. Those weren't exclusives, and they're going to make a ton.
They're available everywhere. But I mean,
ton.
It's a great figure. Like you've got me, who's a fan of the movies, who's not really an indie collector per se, but I'm like, I need that. I need that.
They're not going to limit that sale though. They're just going to make as many as they want. They're early enough in the
that's true,
in the pipeline to be making those that they're going to make as many as they need.
And we'll see. I do want to see where else they take the line, and stuff. And who knows? I may play some long game on some stuff. I may get into some other stuff. But yeah, good day. And it was nice to have. This as a nice distraction away from what was a long week for us down here in Florida.
It's been a long week.
It's
been a long week.
Having something to look forward to after the weekend, just seeing on the news the devastation and destruction was nice.
Yep. Well, on that note, we've survived another Hasbro Pulse Con, the third one.
Yeah.
On day 2, it's done. It's put it in the record books. Turn the page. Now we're on to our trips, our trips that are up for both of us, and then we'll come back again in November to connect with you guys. So we'll have an episode in November we'll hit you with, and then we'll have an episode we'll hit you towards the end of the year, which is our one is our end of the year awards and our top 10. So we'll hit you in December with that, and in November, who knows? We'll figure out what topic we're doing soon.
We'll have probably some New York Comic-Con news.
Oh yeah, that'll be in
talk
there.
About in November as well, because I expect that even if Hasbro doesn't attend, they'll have some stuff to show, which might be why we didn't see as much today from maybe Indy or something.
Yeah, they're spreading it out.
Yeah. So, yep, good times.
For that, I bid you adieu.
Good night.
Have a good one, everybody. See